Age and individual differences. Age. The idea that children are better language learners comes from the critical period theory, which states that children who have learned their second language between the ages of 1 and 7 will have native-like accents and native-like grammar. Linguists also know that children who begin learning a second language after the age of 14 or 15 will most likely not have native-like pronunciation and grammar. But what happens to children who learn their second language between the ages of 7 and 14? Unfortunately, there is no clear answer. Some of these children acquire native-like grammar and pronunciation, and some don't. However, linguists are certain of one thing: it is very important to consider and accommodate for individual differences with children in this age group, because these differences play a critical role in successful second language acquisition. Individual differences. When examining individual differences among second language learners, teachers and tutors need to ask themselves the following question. If a learner has this particular quality, how does it make him or her better or worse at second language acquisition? There's a huge range of personal qualities one can consider: inhibition, motivation, left-handedness, levels of empathy, etc. In addition, when trying to answer this question, teachers need to consider not only if the learner possesses a certain quality, but also the degree to which the quality is present in the learner. There also needs to be a correlation between the degree of a certain quality and the degree of success. After those issues have been addressed, the teacher or tutor needs to consider what successful learners with a certain quality do to be successful in second language acquisition, and how that which successful learners do can be taught to those learners that are less successful. These are not simple questions to consider and require a lot of thought and planning on the teacher's or tutor's part. However, to make things easier, there are two major types of individual differences in second language acquisition to consider: affective factors and cognitive factors. Affective factors. Affective factors have to do with the emotional side of learning a second language. Numerous affective factors that influence language learning have been studied, such as empathy, anxiety, inhibition, risk-taking, and motivation. A good example to consider is motivation, because this tends to be a major problem when teaching children. There are two types of motivation: instrumental and integrative. When students are instrumentally motivated to learn a language, they learn it for a specific goal or purpose. When students are integratively motivated, they want to learn a language in order to fit in and become part of the host culture. A study that compared these two types of motivation found no significant differences. In the study, one group of subjects were offered a cash reward if they obtained a certain score on a language test. These subjects who were instrumentally motivated showed the same degree of success as the subjects that were integratively motivated. This suggested that the degree of motivation predicts the success of second language acquisition better than the type of motivation. Cognitive factors. Cognitive factors have to do with the way people learn. Different people learn languages through different cognitive styles and learning strategies. There are two major types of cognitive styles. Some people are field-dependent, those that see the big picture, and others that are field-independent, those that are not distracted by irrelevant background information and are able to pick out small details from the big picture. Field-dependent do better on tasks that involve synthesizing their knowledge, and thus are more fluent speakers at the expense of accuracy. While field-independent speakers do better on specific language tasks, and thus are better at accuracy at the expense of fluency. No matter what the cognitive style of the learner is, he or she will have a set of learning and communication strategies. Communication strategies are used to keep a conversation going. For example, could you give me that device that people use for making omelets? Oh, do you mean a pan? Learning strategies are used to help the learner discover and learn something new about the second language. There have been several learning strategies proposed through research, focusing on a particular task, listening only to main ideas, repetition, clarification requests, etc. Learning strategies should fit the student's learning style, visual, kinesthetic, or auditory. Learners who have more than one learning style are called combination learners. With this in mind, teachers and tutors of English language learners need to accommodate for the variety of learning styles students might possess.